Hi, I'm Janice Forsyth, and I'm the Director of Indigenous Studies at Western. My family is Cree from the Fisher River Cree First Nation and the sister community of Peguis, and that's about 2 hours north of Winnipeg in Manitoba. Indigenous Studies is a multidisciplinary area of study that focuses on the realities of Indigenous lives. What makes Indigenous Studies different from other program areas is that the foundation of its knowledge is built on Indigenous knowledges, perspectives, and lived experiences. So this is different than what you'll find in other programs where you might have Indigenous content in the curriculum. And what this means for our students is that they are more able to see the possibilities for social change by understanding the world through Indigenous lenses. And that also makes them more able to adapt and respond to change when it's needed. At Indigenous Studies at Western, we draw from the tools and concepts both within and outside the faculty, such as sociology, geography, health, political science, linguistics, anthropology, really any area that is relevant for deepening our understanding of the issues that are important to Indigenous people. We recognize that complex real-world problems require complex solutions, and this requires discussions involving multiple perspectives. So that's what we do. And this is reflected in the faculty who work in Indigenous studies. We come from sociology, history, geography, English, and health, and so on. And so this is the kind of experience that you'll get at Indigenous Studies at Western. So next you're going to hear from Diana Lewis, and she's a faculty member in Indigenous Studies, and she would like to share with you a timely and important story about her community to show you why Indigenous Studies should be an important part of your educational journey. Beyond that, I hope to see you at Western, and I hope to see you at Indigenous Studies. Hi, hi.
Quay, Nindalawisi Diana Lewis, Deleawi Sebeganegedig First Nation. If I was to try and explain why it's important for students to take Indigenous studies, I would use the example of my own community and an issue that's playing out right now in the media. I'm from Sebeganegedig First Nation, and for anyone who might be interested, I am from the community that's involved in the lobster dispute and the desire to pursue a moderate livelihood in the lobster fishery. There's a lot of opposition to this on the part of the commercial fishers in Nova Scotia and in Canada, in fact. And the reason that there's opposition to this is because generally people are not educated. Um, the education system in Canada does not provide a really good grounding to Canadians in the history that Indigenous people play in this country, and no knowledge of the treaty relationship that this country was founded on. And in the case of Sebeganegedig First Nation, we were involved in what are called peace and friendship treaties that were signed in the 1700s with Britain. And in those treaties, the Crown committed to honoring our right to pursue a livelihood in hunting and fishing and gathering. And we have gone to the Supreme Court of Canada to protect those treaty rights. And the Supreme Court of Canada has agreed that those rights that were negotiated in the 1700s translate to rights today that need to be honored by the Crown, which means the federal government. And we won recognition of those rights in 1999. And we have been waiting patiently for the federal government to define parameters around our fishing rights, and they have not done so. And so I feel that by having the Canadian public not understand the historical context of why we are pursuing a moderate livelihood, then people will think we're doing something unlawful when that is not the case. We actually have a Supreme Court of Canada decision, which is the law of the land, that we have been waiting for 21 years to have implemented. And the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, which has the responsibility for the lobster fishery, has been dragging their heels. Um, and so when students come to Indigenous Studies and take classes with me, I will provide the historical context along with contemporary manifestations of what those historical relationships mean today. And we will guide the students through contemporary issues so that the students understand the basis of what asserting Aboriginal and treaty rights or Aboriginal title means today. These are valid rights that are still in force and have been disregarded by government and are necessary to be recognized so that Indigenous people can take their rightful place in Canadian society. And so I have students who start my courses with no grounding in this history. And by the time they finish a course or two with me, they are very cognizant of why Indigenous people are asserting their demand for our rights to be recognized and become strong allies in the process, which is what we want to see. Thank you. Wulalan.
My name is Riley Kennedy. I am a member of a Oneida Nation of the Thames, and I'm going to my second year of Indigenous Studies and Sociology. I'm involved in the Indigenous Students Association, where I'm on their executive. I also am a student senator on the University Senate. My Western experience has been amazing. I've made so many good friends, made so many relationships with many of the faculty and staff here on campus. I've experienced a lot that I've never experienced before. Orientation week was a lot of fun. Doing research, I'd never ever done research before, and that's been a really amazing experience to be part of. Started off in health sciences, and then this year decided to switch into sociology and Indigenous studies. One, because sociology allows me to deconstruct the social world and actually build a better society for Indigenous people, and Indigenous studies because that is my background. The first year First Nation Studies or Indigenous Studies course was really unique, I found. I thought I'd be learning a lot about history, contemporary issues, but I've learned more about theory, and it made me think differently about Indigenous studies as a whole. I think going to a research-intensive university allows me to have experiences that many other students would not be able to have. So I started in November at the Center for Studies in Family Medicine on the Diabetes Alliance team. On that team, I helped design a program evaluation to evaluate the SOAR program, which is a program focused on quality improvement within Indigenous communities for diabetes management and prevention. After that, I was hired as a research fellow through student experience, where I was part of an Indigenous medical trainee study, just the preliminary stages of that research, along with my own research on community-based participatory research as a methodology. These projects are important to me because it allows me to build relationships with communities from across Canada and build relationships within the university, around the university, that can be meaningful and I can make an impact in the communities.